War, Love, Meow by Dr. Dylan Doe. Chapter 7. The lush greens of the great trees and small shrubs more vibrantly colored Viet's surroundings as the sun rose and lightened the forest. The flow of water in his ears grew as he compliantly followed the armored Meowies who led him. He enjoyed watching their furry ears poke out of their shiny helms and twitch to the sounds of the forest. Finally, Viet emerged from the trees into an active riverbank. The crash site. Thoughts of the deaths of his crewmates, Two's unconsciousness, the red fox, and the strangely beautiful nymph all rushed into his brain. It's too much. Oh, too much. I must think of other things. My tummy! Despite the horrid taste of those awfully disgusting insects, my stomach feels fantastically full. Oh my goodness! What are these fabulous Meowies doing? Two columns of glowing Meowies struggled forward from the river. Ropes tied the Meowies together and connected them to something heavy in the water. No way those little kitties can heave up the spacecraft, even with so many of them. Viet watched in amazement as the craft slowly penetrated the water's surface. The Meowies meowed long moans as their flexed muscles dragged the craft on shore, inch by inch. An older Meowie wearing a military-style beret walked up to the craft with two Meowies obediently following him. The older Meowie turned and moved toward Viet. It strode with a proud seriousness that was mitigated by the fact that he was a cute Meowie wearing a funny hat. Viet struggled not to giggle as it approached him. The hat had 3 stars across the top above a ferocious claw. "Human, is this your craft?" "Yes, sir." "My name is General John Luke, General of the West. I defend this great republic from all threats emerging from the western forests." Viet looked down at the general. Long whiskers sprouted from his face like an array of antennas. His fur had thinned from years of work, but still remained thick enough to give him a Meowie cuteness. "Should I pet the little guy?" "I'm Viet." "Well met, Viet. I expect you to explain in great detail all mechanical purposes and processes used in this craft, and all the technology contained inside. I've declared all such information classified. You will only speak of these matters to me and the 2 wise Meowies. Is that understood?" "Yes, sir," Viet nodded. The general's stern look compelled him to obey. The general turned to one of his 2 followers. "Captain Fluffy, where are the wise Meowies? Bring them to me." "Yes, sir." The young Meowie nodded, then ran off into the forest. The general turned to Viet. "I apologize, Viet. These wise Meowies do not follow military order well. I spoke to them just an hour ago. I expect my aide-de-camp to acquire them soon." "No problem, sir." Viet bent down and scratched the old Meowie under the chin. General John Luke moved his head with a scratch and purred. Viet could feel the looseness of his aged fur. Viet gave a deep scratch upward. "Oops." His hand lost its friction with the Meowie's neck and flew into the cloth of the general's hat. The fancy beret tumbled to the ground. "Oh, sorry, General. Let me help you with that." Viet quickly picked up the beret, shook the dust off, and began fastening it upon General John Luke's head. "Oh, powerful General Meowie looks annoyed that I knocked off his cute little hat. Don't worry, I'll get it back on, and you will shine like a fabulous cutie kitty once again." Viet put the hat back on while the general stared off in the distance, with furious eyes. The general's stern face returned. "Thank you, Viet. Ah, my aide has located the wise Meowies already." Viet turned to see 2 ancient Meowies with long white beards. He examined the thick beard of one wise Meowie and the long and thin beard of the other. "Strange. I didn't know Meowies could grow beards." The general greeted the wise Meowies. The thin-bearded one said to Viet, "Come, let's examine the craft closely. Space traveler, how does your space machine look?" "Pretty dang beat up." "Will she ever fly again?" asked the general. Viet sighed. "No, sir. Our mission was to a moon with weaker gravity than this planet. The rockets of the craft probably could not reach escape velocity here. Plus, those rockets are clearly damaged beyond repair." Viet pointed to a largely cracked and dented rocket fixed to the outside craft. A moment of silence. Then, Thinbeard spoke. "Viet, what's gravity?" The general added, "Yes, and I also am not familiar with the term rocket or escape velocity." Viet tilted his head. "Oh, how unfabulous. I need to take these guys to school." He began to explain the basics of gravity, physics, and rocketry when every Meowie's ears perked up. They all stared upriver. Then the herd of Meowies galloped toward the forest. Viet stood still. What? Then Viet's human ears caught up. A rushing rumble came from upstream. A wall of gushing water roared down the river at high speeds. Viet turned to run after the Meowies. The thunder of the flood inundated Viet's ears, and the water engulfed him. He flipped and turned, and the current sucked him beneath the water. Viet saw a mix of rampaging water, sand, and sky as the river threw him around. The chaos disoriented him, and he struggled to grab a few breaths of air. Somehow, he noticed something large and white crashing down on him from above. The spacecraft! He saw the massive white object cover his view. Then he saw black. Viet awoke in pain. His head thumped. Scrapes and bruises dotted his body. He lifted and stretched his limbs, seeking more pains. No bones appeared broken. He grasped the back of his head, expecting to feel a handful of blood, but instead, his fingers smushed into bandages. He swiveled his head to observe his new dwelling. I'm in some sort of mud cave. These walls can't be stable. A floating blue flame faintly lit the room. Viet laid on a small piece of dry land surrounded by dirt walls and a small pool of water on one end of the room. He heard the calm flow of the river through the wall on the side with the pool. I'm underground? I'll have to swim out. He tried to stand. Ah! Throbbing pain pounded through his skull. A splash arose from the pool. A blue, beautiful, naked female creature rose from the water. The river nymph. Don't move, Viet. Your head needs time to recover. She came over to him and guided his head back down to the ground. Viet noticed his nakedness. Oh no, is she going to rape me? The nymph lovingly rubbed his tummy. Oh, my poor Viet. I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I just needed to get you away from those foolish Meowies and their male-ruled fairies. She caressed his face, then leaned over him, giving him a peck on the other cheek. Viet tried not to show how creepy he found his host. He resisted the impulses to contort his face and freak out. Thank you for helping me, you fabulously beautiful creature, but I need to go. The nymph stared into him with her watercolored eyes, like she was his caring mother, acting as her son's nurse. Oh, Viet, you have received a nasty wound on the head. I need to take care of you. My magic has gone a long way to heal you, but your precious head still needs rest. Oh no, your magic is quite fantastic. I should go back. The fairies can make sure I finish healing. At the word fairies, the nymph's loving face turned to a scowl. She jerked her head back. So, Viet, you find yourself attracted to those tiny gnats? Really? Viet? Really? How can you even love something that small? It's not physically possible. No. It's not that at all. She threw her hips, hand, and head as she spoke. It's not that? Well, Viet, you have no home on this planet. You could make your home wherever you want. If you don't fancy some cute fairy, then why the rush to leave? Viet? Her glare shot fear through him. He couldn't possibly run from or fight a nymph. He needed to find a way to escape the river. Should I tell her I'm gay? No, I don't know how she'd react to that. Plus, who knows? Maybe the Meowies would consider a homosexual like me wicked. The nymph's face turned sweet and loving again. Oh, Viet, let's not fight. Let's cuddle. Her smooth, perfect skin glided across his body. Her impeccably portioned figure pressed against him. Viet's head felt light as he soaked in her perfume-like smell. She had an inhuman beauty only magic could produce. If only I was straight. He laid there and tolerated her caresses, knowing she would keep him as her toy until he found an opportunity to escape.